All right, welcome to Voice of the Microsoft Partner. My name is Sherman Crancer. I'm the president of the Crancer Group. I want to say thank you to everyone that is coming to this session today. We have over 560 partners registered via the LinkedIn live portion, but we also have close to 200 that registered for this one for the Teams event. It is a topic that we're going to go over. It's the new commerce experience. Today what we did is we decided, look, we're going to put together a partner roundtable. And, you know, it's a polarizing topic. It's polarizing. There's a lot of things that are going about that, a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different ideas. And when, you know, Nathan, and I give credit to Nathan Taylor, who's one of our guest speakers today, he pinged me about a month ago and said, hey, we should have a roundtable on this and talk about, you know, what's going on with this. This is something that's going to impact the industry. And I thought, yeah, absolutely. And that's why we did this, right? But I want to make sure that the theme of this call is productive. Okay, so we do have a lot of folks on here. It's a lot of polarizing topics here, but what we're going to do and what we're going to focus on, okay, is how our partners in our in our ecosystem, you know, how are they strategizing? You know, and I used to, when I was at Microsoft, and many of you know me from there, being a PDM, you know, and when there's changes, you know, we know that, you know, Microsoft, the reference was it's an aircraft carrier, right? And all of our partners are the supporting ships behind that aircraft carrier, and sometimes that aircraft carrier turns. Right? And sometimes everyone's like, no, I want to go this way, right? But we have to kind of figure out, and I think with today the theme is, you know, there are some challenges, and we want you to voice your opinions. We want you to talk and come to the chat window, you know, talk about this, put in questions. But what we really want to figure out is what is the solution? And I think that's what, you know, we can find challenges, but what are some of the solutions? Now, the format today, just to give you the agenda, let me go ahead and put it over here. We're going to do the introduction really quick. We're going to actually talk about, we're going to demo a Azure and Microsoft asset management tool that is really going to coincide with this new commerce experience. It's lights out. It's unbelievable. It's read-only access, and I'll get that in a second. Then we're going to get into the new commerce experience where Alex is going to come in and give us some highlights, give us a few things, and then we're getting into the partner roundtable. And as you can see here, our speakers, we have some really dynamic speakers. Alex Perez from Microsoft, you can wave. Daniel Johnson, CEO of Machine Logic. Nathan Taylor, Director of Technical Services for Machine Logic. Bruce Ward, Vice President of Business Strategy over at Peters. And then we also have Wade Walker, you know, from Big Green IT, Director of Cloud Services and Sales. At the conclusion, we're going to do a giveaway. You know, what we do is we do, you know, demand gen services. We conduct CIEs on behalf of partners. We're going to give away one of those to one of the partners today. So we'll have that available for you, and we'll take that information from one of the surveys that we'll pull up if you want access to that. So just want to say that real quick. You know, I want to get into, you know, right away, get into the asset management tool, because I think this is going to be something that is so amazing for you. So let me just give you a little bit of background. We have Neil May and Harold on the call today. They're going to get into it. We're going to actually do the demo. But, you know, I get about, 20 ISV solutions across my desk, you know, in this past 9 months. And 19 of them I said, no, I don't think this has legs. This one came across my desk and I thought, oh my gosh, this is a game changer. And I'll tell you why. There's two reasons. First and foremost, it is a read-only access tool, okay? But it basically measures and optimizes Azure environments, Microsoft 365 environments, and does security and compliance. And we'll show this to you in just a second. But what I want to kind of just you know, illustrate is we run the Azure Immersion Workshops for Microsoft right now. And we ran 2,000 people through the Azure Immersion Workshops, customers through the in this past year. And we did some polling and some surveys through this, and what we found was that 80% of Azure customers that go through pay-as-you-go do not use reserved instance, hybrid use benefit. They don't understand how to size. And what's very interesting about that, okay, is this type of tool we can measure within a couple weeks, read-only access, and we can save them between 38 and 39% right off the bat. It's fantastic. Plus, there's a whole Microsoft 365 component. I'm not going to steal the thunder, but when you think about that and when you're prospecting, when you're going out to customers, how cool would it be if you're saying, hey, look, I got a read-only access thing that I can use here to measure and give you a report of what you're not doing. And I think that that's so powerful. But then also, you can actually use this for your current customer base and say, hey, are you oversubscribed? We can measure enterprise agreements, pay-as-you-go agreements, as well as CSP, which is crazy. And it's read-only access, so it's really neat on this one. So with that being said, I want to get right into it. Okay. Sorry, back up. This session will be the first session that might go over. Okay. We always land the plane at 1 minute, but this is so polarizing that we want to make sure we answer questions. If you have questions, if you have responses, put them into the chat window. I'll make sure that I can ask and do this. But we also want to make sure this is constructive, right? Look, we know that there's issues or opinions, but let's be constructive about it, okay? Let's try to figure out solutions to what this is. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Harold. And Harold, would you mind sharing your screen so we can do, it's about 15 minutes that we're going to go through this. It's lights out, ask some questions in there. And then we have a survey. And yes, it is 100% a roundtable discussion. No, it is not a sales pitch. What we're just showing you is this asset management tool for 15 minutes, and then we're going straight discussion. Wayne, just want to make sure that you understood that one, okay? But it's lights out, and I just want to show it to you. This is called ISV Showcase. Go ahead, Harold, why don't you take it away?
Great. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, I'm Harold. I'm in the cold UK over here. That's why I've got my fire on. But it's great to meet you all. So I'm going to take you through Surveil. And there's many ways to describe it. And quite often it's been described as the Swiss Army knife. But the way I would look at it for this forum certainly is it's your eyes and ears into your customer's world, right? Because with NCE, it's going to become really critical that customers tightly manage their environments, right? Now, we've done this before in the past with reserved instances, Azure, and the way that EA agreements work with commits, etc. So I'm going to take you through it, and I'm going to show you the relevant areas. But what I would say as well with the NCE, you need a trusted partner if you're a customer. The pay-as-you-go comment from Sherman, we've seen that with the hundreds and hundreds of customers we've onboarded. It's always true, right? Those areas are non-managed. They're going to have to manage them, otherwise it's going to be overrun on costs like you've never seen before. I'm going to sign right in, and one of the first things you're going to notice is I'm an account manager, I'm a CSP provider or a reseller, it doesn't matter, we support them all. Or an end customer. I'm going to see my customer accounts that I have access to, and I'm just going to be able to log into it. So I'm going to go right on into Contosa and say, oh, hang on, it's not this customer that I want to see. I'm going to go right back, and I'm going to go into the one that I do want to see. It is that quick to switch between your customers. Right, so you get to the data very quickly. It means you can offer service levels in here. You can do SOC services. It doesn't matter. You have the capability to get into single pane of glass very quickly. Right here, you'll see Azure, CSP, Office 365, obviously what's going to be relevant to your customers. You decide what your customers can see in these menus, because some of these things you may want to offer as a service. Some of them you want the customers to do automatically or themselves. Right, so you get the choice, but the customer has the choice as to what data they want you to see, and it is read only, as Sherman said. So really, really key. It means our onboarding has become really easy. You'll see there are two menu areas, two key menu areas, Azure and 365. We are literally flicking between those two environments. No more logging into admin accounts, getting the partner to put in links for you. Just get them to onboard. 5 minutes to onboard the customer. That's it. Everything you see in the portal here, that's a 5 to 15 minute onboarding job, depending if they want to have a chat as well. So I'm going to go straight on into the Office 365 overview. And what you're going to see here is a summary of your world. Number one, for making sure customers optimize their costs, because Sherman mentioned that we see at least just off the bat easy saves. 38% is where we get the easy saves, let alone when we really start using the business capability of the engine. The engine has an AI engine built in, so it does take a week or two. Just once the customer's on board, let it go and build its logic, let it understand who are joiners, leavers. That is one of the critical areas. So identity management in the new cloud world, it is critical. It's not about device asset management. Of course, you've got to secure that and everything else, but it's about managing identities, right? And identities come in all forms in customers. They come as PCs, they come as printers, they come as distribution groups, and they come as meeting rooms, and they've all got the wrong licenses assigned, and they've got joiners, leavers that left months ago. They've got consultants that were brought in and never taken off, etc. We manage all of that for you automatically. So you can see there, just on this account here, you can see on the right-hand side, 26% of accounts have been migrated to Office 365, but only 38% have been active in the last 30 days. So really, that's starting to ring a little bell there. We've got an issue here. And a lot of those issues you'll see in joiners leavers. And this screen here, for example, just shows you how joiners leavers has been going over the last, since you joined your tenant into the portal. And the screens I'm just flicking through, we're not going to have time for detail, but you can right-click, you can go into different areas, you can see the details, you can see the user accounts, you can see the licenses, you can see true adoption, not just what licenses have been assigned, what's actually used through our AI engine. Part of that might be to say Office applications, for example. I want to know who's only using, who's using the desktop, who's using mobile, who's using web, and on the web, who's using, for example, PowerPoint. That, of course, you can start thinking, do they need E1, E3, etc., and you get all that sort of adoption in there. Licensing, of course, is going to be critical for you, and this year just starts telling you true adoption. It starts showing you straight away here where you can start saving 41% due to inactivity in this company. Right, and you can start seeing the different categories. We'll bring them through. You'll see different screens, very quick and easy. Excel spreadsheet, PowerShell into customer's environment, and disable accounts. We can remove licenses if you want. That is the only time we would ever do a read, and it would be a one-off authentication from an administrator from the customer. Right. So here you've got top license spends, and again, a different level of summary. You might want to get into looking at document management, right? So more on the security side. Are you leveraging SharePoint, OneDrive? Are you sharing things externally? And of course, important to everybody, we've saved the money. Let's go and invest that in security. Is everybody secure? Is everyone using MFA? What are your administrators doing? How many administrators have you got? Have you got too many? Is there too many global administrators? We almost always connect to companies and see they're using the Azure AD Sync account with global administration, right? Guess what? That account has got no MFA and it could delete your entire company, right? So all of these things are highlighted to you, the authentication methods they would use, the number of password resets, whatever you want to log into. And of course, we do the traditional asset management as well. There you can see the kind of hardware devices you've got in the company. You can drill down into them. You can see the operating systems they're running. So you can support your customers' hardware environment as well. Of course, leveraging Intune. And more as Intune gets stronger and stronger for us, it's what companies are moving to. So it's going to be critical for you as well. Just in the financial operations, so that whole, with the NCE, with the committed for 1 year, 2 year timeframes, it sort of rings of an EA, doesn't it? And what we have here is that EA view. There's your 3 EA. Don't worry about that piece of paper, that document that's 100 pages long. This is your EA. And you can see you're in year 3 here now. That's what your committed costs are. And at the moment, you've got a true-up cost of £2,352 at the end of the month. That's probably unbudgeted, but not when you're using the platform. So you can tell your customer every day when they've got reservations coming in, CSP licenses purchased, etc. So this view, you can see it the same way with NCE. You're going to see those committed costs as committed licenses, and you'll see that in the reserved instance dashboards as well. So of course, one of the key things is going to be recommendations. So in this area here, again, our AI engine does a lot of work in the back end. We'll start with the basics, the real easy ones. It's amazing how many companies have inactive accounts with licenses assigned, or printers with E5s on them, or meeting rooms, or distribution lists with licenses when they could be shared mailboxes, etc. Right? Those are the simple categories. We'll go right down as you go more into the tool. You can actually say which customers here have got an E5 license when they're not using the E3 component. They're only using up to E3 but not up to E5, so we could reduce them down to E3. So there's screens you can go to, you can get that export and go and change those license assignments. You can look at drags, etc. And then from a license savings point of view, this is obviously a demo environment, but right at the top there you see your total investment at the moment is £10,000. The savings opportunity is £8,400. So your estimated future run cost is 1,840. Typically somewhere between 20 to 40%, depending on the companies, right? Is what that'll come out straight off the bat before we get into any major technical items. So I'm going to go just out of the recommendations then. I'll go into another area, alerts. Alerts, again, really key. You can set an alert on just about any kind of event. So for example, you might want to have an alert let's say I want to tell me when an E5 license has been assigned. Tell me when the marketing divisions, and we've got a tagging engine, I mentioned it before, our own AI tagging engine. We clean up that AD data. It's a mess usually, right? We clean up the Azure tags. It's a mess usually. So you can leverage that, get automatic alerts, tell me when the marketing division's costs go above a certain amount, tell me when they've allocated more than 100 licenses, or tell me when they haven't allocated what they've committed to. So again, really important in the NCE side, because what's going to happen in the companies is going to be arguments about who committed these licenses, who said they use 100, now they've gone to 150, or they've gone only to 70. We need to know which business divisions, which regions, which cities, which states. You can use our tagging engine, make sure that's all enabled. Incidentally, every night you've got a new report, right? This is a live system. It doesn't go to sleep, right? In the same way, you can manage your devices, groups. I just want to show you quickly on users. I've got some filters here, and I want to see, right, very quickly, tell me what I want to save. So I want to see non-active accounts. Like there's all my 80 accounts, 259 of them. I want to see non-active accounts that have got licenses on them. right? Now I can see I'm down at 15, and now I want to see, I'm going to use some of our tags that we've created, and I want to see non-active accounts with licenses on the UK, but this could be any kind of tag again, and I can apply that filter. There they are. I can see there's 6 accounts that are inactive. They've got licenses. They can save you £200. Let's go and just Excel export. They can go into PowerShell, or you just email it off. There is also a commit change. I mentioned that we can actually remove licenses. The only right time we'd ever do, again, the customer would give authentication to do that. Joiners, leavers, so important. I've mentioned it. You've got to go in there. You've got to manage your joiners, leavers. And when I'm talking about joiners, leavers here, I'm talking about identity accounts, right? HR systems may be up to date, but they don't know what they don't know. Right? They don't know about those levers that left. They don't know that from an IT perspective, from a licensing perspective, security perspective, you know, there are other licenses that are being used. So you would go in here and use this. Now, if you've saved the money, what I would say as well is that now you've got to see where you're going to invest this. So we've got tools in here as well that help you. This is more of a security side, but you can get overviews of your security dashboards. You can help your customers improve their secure score. You can go in, you can say, where are improvements available? That's where they are. Show me the easy ones. There's the low ones. There's a whole bunch of security items. And by the way, this one is disabled because the customer said we've already got Okta in the company, so we're not going to get marked down through Microsoft by not having MFA. And guess what? Down the bottom here, you can see what licenses you need to fix this. Right? Or maybe you want to go a step further. You want to see how you can save money through third parties, because this is going to become key. How are you going to afford NCE, and how are you going to afford to buy more security SKUs? Now, buying security SKUs is one thing. We need to implement them. What services do we need to implement them? But right here, you can see, I want to say, right, I'm going to go in 2021, 22, 23. I can see what my third-party costs are. I can see we will automatically map those third parties to what license SKUs can be replaced from a Microsoft perspective and show you those savings. So on top of that, we've got an amazing, this is still in beta. It will be released by the time any of you need something like this, but I could collapse this all. And let's talk about features that a customer wants, not what license do they want, right? And if I go and look at threat management and I say, right, let me just maximize threat management here, and I go and look at Defender for endpoint, there's a description of Defender for endpoint. What is Exploit Guard? Nobody knows what that is, right? That's what Exploit Guard is. And if I hover over it, I can see at the top there, that is, I've got 2 assigned at the moment. It's green, it means we know about its adoption. I can see a description of it. I can see what third parties could replace it. And I could also see how I can improve my secure score. And maybe I want to plan against it and say, Mr. Customer, what features do you want? And he says, what's really important for me is this one, that one. I want all of the Microsoft 365 apps, and I want a lot of the information. I want all the information protection. If I click back here, I can open those, and I can see here straight away what licenses do I need. If I just expand it all, I can see straight away here on those licenses that were required, the green dots are there, and I can see the one with the green dots is the E5, right? And you can see the costs in the tool, recommended retail, you can apply discounts, you can build a business case for the customer in the investment returns. So one or two more items just to mention. When you commit your licenses, you also then need to go, this is our planning section, there's a whole bunch of things, you know, for example, which accounts could be frontline purchase, but when you plan your licenses, you do need to go and see how does CSP compare to EA. In your case, it'll be with NCE. I want to know if I went for 6 months and I selected a particular license, so there's a planning tool in here, I can select a particular license like an E3, and I could say that I would save £1,505 if I actually kept some of these licenses on a volatile license, because these are volatile accounts, right? But when I got to 9 months, I'd actually be losing money. So I'd have to sort of, it'll tell me the numbers that I need. So again, lots of planning in there. We've got a modern workplaces. This is all about home workers, who's at home, who's in the office, where are the offices, how many offices do you have, who are all your telcos, what are they doing at home, what applications are they using, a lot of stuff in there. And on the security side, on the 365 side, again, a whole bunch of other things available to you. Everything around admins, all of your shadow IT. You can filter the shadow IT by division, by department, by region, by risk, however you want to do it. Security alerts, what conditional access policies are you using, which ones aren't working, MFA, who's adopted, who hasn't. So a whole suite of things in there. So it gives you a good overview on 365. In a similar way, we have a structure for Azure. So I'm right into the Azure environment now. I'm sitting in here, you can see the cost overview. I can just hover over any one of these areas, and immediately you'll see at the top there, I can see technically where all these costs are coming from all of my subscriptions. Doesn't matter how I bought them, right? CSP, EA, pay-as-you-go, you name it, right? MPN. At the bottom, I can see actually the top system cost is in the fintech test system, and the top business is in manufacturing. So you can drill down, you can get into details here, but if you get into the more the FinOps area, just to show you like reserved instances, for example, you will hear this is all about procurement. You can see everything around your costs. I might just want to change that to 12 months. And I can see a 12-month view. I can see in that particular month in customer services, Power Embedded was the biggest cost. But at the same time, I can see my RIs. I can see which RIs have been committed, which ones are remaining. So this is the procurement side, what I've bought, right? I can get more into those reservations. Very, very key, right? And see them more in here. Again, keep a close eye on them, because the other thing we found is people buy reservations and they forget to renew them, right? And then they lose a month's worth of saves. So a lot of areas in here, a lot of forecasting. We know it's going to get more expensive, for example, in 3 months, and my year end is in July, right? And I know that my costs are going to go up by 20%. There's my forecast. I thought it was going to be 45K. By the end of that year, it's going to be 52K due to NCE or whatever it is, right? And then last but certainly not least, on the cost optimization on the Azure side, there is a lot to go after in terms of saves. Azure Advisor will give you some basics. It'll tell you about reserved instances, and every now and again it will tell you about a downsizing opportunity. You can see a ton of stuff in here, right? We have more than 12 categories now that we're optimizing on, whether it's UAT, dev workloads, work environments. All of this stuff you need to advise your customers on, right? Hybrid benefit, how do they take advantage of hybrid benefit? CSP, again, reserved instances. What reserved instances can I now go after? And there's a lot of planning tools in this to show you what's been static for a period of time. There's a lot of planning tools on SQL resizing, disk resizing, IOPS, Databricks, Kubernetes, premium disk. You know, people put so much SSD premium P50 disks into, we actually did a demo this morning, P50 premium SSD disks in a test environment, right? In a QA environment, you know, you just, why? So I think that's all I wanted to cover today. There is a lot more in the platform, but hopefully it's given you an overview. It's a 1,000-mile sprint.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. I know we just went over that. I know we had a few comments like, what's going on here? Look, the thing was, we just wanted to kind of get started and kind of give you an idea of something that's brand new out in the market that hasn't had this ability out there. So we're going to put a survey in here. If you guys want to do a follow-up deep dive, we can do a deep dive. But let's get into the Partner Roundtable. A lot of us are asking this right here. And, you know, let's go ahead and put all the folks that are on here. Go ahead and turn on your video from the presenters, you know, point of view. And what I'm going to go ahead and do, let me get out of this. You know, the very first question, and if we're going to, you know, this is the start here. This is the start here. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. You know, we have Alex here. Alex, do you want to go ahead and I'm going to show the slides here. Do you want to give us just a brief update from your perspective? And we'll do from current
sounds
slide.
Good.
Okay. Oh, let me share my screen here. I apologize. Okay, we're going to do a brief update, and then we're getting into the questions. So 1 second. That's the one. Okay, I think we're good.
Cool.
All right, Alex.
Well, thanks, everybody. My name is Alex Bettis. I'm the new commerce and CSP lead for GPS US. So my job is to help land these changes in new commerce with partners. And there's a lot of goodness coming. And I know if you're watching the chat, there's a lot of frustration, too, about the cancellation policies, the 72-hour window to cancel orders, you know, the removal of that perceived flexibility in the annual offers as well. But there is a lot of goodness coming. And I want to make sure that we're not shortchanging that, right? So the stuff that you see on the screen here, that's a lot of our marketing fluff, if you will, right? But there are some real tangible changes coming in the form of tooling to make it easier to manage costs for your customers. There's just a better experience coming between the Partner Center interface and how you're managing your business, and integration back in a marketplace where you're actually selling out your solutions, right? So the whole focus is on getting your solutions out to the market faster, making it easier for you to upsell. It's not just about the license, right? We really want to re-emphasize, it's not the transaction, it's not the license, it's the value that you all can bring back to your customers. And the new commerce experience is all about that, right? There's also things that are coming like you know, the ability to lock in pricing for 36 months and offer price protection for those longer term offers. Where's my cheat sheet? There's more stuff. We're working on the ability to flip from trial offers to paid offers. That's huge, right? There's lots of opportunity being opened up there. We're making it easier to manage your billing process by aligning to calendar month rather than the process that's in place today. You get a bill on the 28th of the month for services rendered the month prior, 28th to the 27th of the current month. That's silly. It'll be 8th of the month billing for services rendered on for the calendar month prior to that. Hybrid use benefits in Azure, an auto renew toggle so that you can go into Partner Center and set your customer to renew at the end of the cancellation automatically. Multi-geo capabilities. This one's huge. Partners often tell us it's just a pain in the neck to go set up another business entity outside the geo that I'm registered in currently. With the new commerce experience, you'll be able to sell outside of your registered geo over time. All this stuff is coming. As we get through the frustration around the cancellation policies in the 72-hour window and land this with partners and get partners ready to go adopt this stuff and ready to go sell this stuff in time for those promos to go live in January for the seat-based offers. We'll get through that stuff. We'll figure out how to operationalize this stuff with you guys, and the future's bright as we get to those real tangible benefits that are coming for the new commerce experience in CSP. We're going to be in a world where it's just easier to manage your business. There's lots more opportunity to make yourself sticky and focus on those services that are being provided out to your customers, and to expand the offers that you're making available to them to drive that customer success, to make sure that the customers are getting utilization out of the services that you're buying through you, and take advantage of the full Microsoft stack. Right? Microsoft has got industry-leading technology across our collaboration, our Azure offers, our cloud services. We've got a great story to sell out to our customers, and we want to bring you all along for that ride. So, Sherman, did you want me to cover off these changes on the timeline, or is that something you want to do?
Yes, please. I'm sorry, I was muted.
So,
if you could, the one is really important. I think is that moved out to March, July, and this way we can.
So with the seat-based offers in new commerce, we've got 2 promos that are going to go live in January. The original intent was for that annual promotion to run through the end of June, but that's not going to be the case. So the monthly discount, the discount on the monthly offers is 16.67%, which don't worry about the percentage. It's really about making sure that monthly offer is the same price as the annual offer for that promo period. So for the monthly offers, the promo period is going to last from the beginning of January through the end of June. The annual offer will be discounted at 5%, and that's going to run from January to the end of March. We do hope, I shouldn't say hope, we do have the ability to extend that promotion if the right circumstances line up. But for now, please know that it will expire at the end of March. The other thing that's changed recently is the migration from those legacy offers in CSP into the new commerce experience. On March 10th. March 10th, we'll make a systems change so that net new customers and any net new partners who are coming into the environment will only have the new commerce experience offers available. They won't be able to sell the legacy CSP offers anymore. We were going to, at the same time, have renewals forced over to the new commerce experience at the same time. But we heard from partners that you guys have a lot of customers that are just kind of on autopilot, right? You haven't talked to them in 2 or 3 years, and they're just automatically renewing with you and cutting you a check. And the changes that are coming up are going to require a conversation back with that customer. And you've asked for more time, so this is one of the areas where our executives have listened and are hearing you. So we've extended that renewal period out to the beginning of July. So an extra quarter to have those conversations with your customers and make sure that they're ready to adopt. Now, the only other thing to note is the removal of incentives from the legacy environment. That'll happen after September 30th. So you want to make sure that as you're stretching that renewal period into July, that you're conscious that anything you are renewing on that legacy environment will stop being eligible for incentives at the beginning of October. So a bit of a push-pull there as customers are looking to renew that legacy. It's easier for them. There's a pull from you guys to move them over to the new commerce experience as quick as you can to retain those incentives. One thing to cover real quick: the Microsoft Commerce Incentive is the new platform that's going to govern all of the incentives that support the new commerce experience. So if you haven't done that yet, make sure you get down to the Partner Center and accept the terms for the MCI. It's a real simple click-through. Bunch of legalese, but very simple process to go into a Partner Center and accept that, because all of the incentives that are coming for the new commerce experience will fall under that MCI structure. So make sure that you've gone out and accepted it so that you're not, not missing out on those incentives opportunities because you haven't done the click through. So Sherman, I think that's about it. I see you got the Partner Roundtable slide up there, and I'll stick around to help with Q&A.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Now, Alex is here, to really help us. We got a ton of questions. Keep them coming. We're going to get to them. Okay, we're going to get to them. No problem. But what I want to do here is just present, the questions that we're going to be talking about. Okay, and then this is the roundtable piece. This is the money here. We showed you the asset validation. We showed you a couple key things to help educate. So the first question, and I'm going to go to Daniel Johnson. Daniel, if you don't mind. How is NCE going to reflect on the conversations with your customers? Help us understand that from your perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Sherman. It's definitely an interesting piece amongst the price increases and some of the terms changes and whatnot. The challenges that come with this is that a lot of us have a lot of customers. And some of the clear feedback I've gotten from some other partners is we need some time not only to get in touch with these customers and come up with a good plan for them, but also that it really shifts the conversation with customers. We've been, as an MSP market and maybe even a CSP market in general, we've been shifting towards growth and security, trying to secure these small businesses, these medium-sized businesses. And what this does is this kind of pushes back that conversation to talk more about price and contracts, which I understand pricing, might need to increase. And I don't. Most of the partner feedback we've received is that that's not the particular issue, but it's in getting in front of that customer and navigating the changes with them, making sure that we have a good plan for them. I think, some partners have 25, 50, 100 plus customers, and to try to have that many conversations in a short period of time will be challenging. But I think that's the biggest thing for us that it reflects is, we want to maintain that trusted partner status with our clients, but we want to make sure we navigate this complexity with them.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. I like that. Moving over to Bruce. Bruce, you and I have talked about this at length, and you have a little bit of a different perspective on some of these things. And I'd love to hear how's the new commerce experience going to reflect on the conversations you're having.
I mean, in one aspect, we look at it as an opportunity, obviously, to go chat with our customers. I see some, funny comments about, of course, we've chatted with our customers in the past 3 years, but, reasons to get out and chat with customers are, especially if they're positive things, are a good thing. So now we have to find the positives out of this. And I think to the point earlier, a lot of people haven't had necessarily a license discussion recently, and discussing, where they are at from a usability, are they using all their licenses, the capability to simplify. There's been a fair number of changes in licensing in the last couple of years. We've seen, Teams Voice as an example. People are purchasing Teams Voice maybe instead of Business Voice if they're on the Business Premium. Their counts matter, in terms of what they've been using, what they've been carrying as inventory, if you will, in terms of inventory of licenses. Obviously, counts are really important, which, maybe bodes as to why the Surveil tool was here, is to kind of discuss counts, discuss your use of the licenses. But then all of this, and so far we're batting 100% on this in terms of security investments. People find, I think, Microsoft's security platform in the Enterprise Mobility Suite or the M series essentially to have a fair amount of value in it. And so we're 5 for 5 on, positioning either the business premiums or even the M365 or the E3s and E5s of the world to help people light up some more security in their space. So in general, so far so good. We got a long road to go. We got 50 CSP customers, and we've had 5 or 8 customers conversations to date. A little bit more breathing room, moving things from March to June.
That's great. That's great, Bruce. And we actually had an interesting a comment here. I want to address this. I put in a partner survey for you. At the conclusion of this, we're actually going to create something that we can give back to Microsoft, and that's why we're running this together. So, they do care But remember, we talked about the aircraft carrier. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to kind of make it move, but if we all come together with a consensus and we give them the right information, so fill out the survey that we have there. Put your comments. Tell us what you want. We are bringing it back to you. And having Alex on the call, let me tell you, we invited him and he's coming, and we are here to listen. So that's what we are here to figure it out, but figure out the right way. Okay, so just transitioning over to Wade. Wade, how is it going to reflect on your conversations? What is the strategy that you're going to use, okay, that is going to help you maybe use this as a benefit?
Yeah, and thanks for this, Sherman. Thanks, Sherman, Nathan, organizing, and Alex, we haven't met yet, but thank you for joining us. Appreciate you taking time out of your day for this obviously very important topic. And similar to, previous comments, we've been discussing this with our customers and positioning it to the best that we can. And for those that are interested in looking in for longer term contracts, there's actually some benefits to us to be able to leverage some of these changes. We have concerns like everybody else does on what happens if a client goes dark or things like that, and we also do get a number of wins where a customer is dissatisfied with their current partner and they switch over to us. So we're having some more internal discussions on that as well, as how do we approach that from our sales and marketing strategy out there to prospects. And then as we like to the customers, like other people have been saying, is really trying to shape this to best align with what's going on in the future, understanding there are the concerns about the lack of flexibility. I don't think most customers understand that their existing subscriptions have a 12-month term on them. I think they all think they're month to month, even though if you look in, they go to Admin Center, it's clearly a year term, but since we've never really spoken to it, I think that's I know it's an educational piece that we're educating our customers on. And the other wild card here, X factor, is not everything's finalized yet. So Alex has hit on that a little bit. We've talked to our PDM about that. We have to also take a wait and see approach with our discussions with our clients, let them know, hey, here's what we know today. Tomorrow something's going to happen and we'll continue to update them. But really trying to make sure we're in front of the story as much as possible so that they're not surprised when these changes are coming up. Oh, Sherman, you're muted. Muted.
Yeah, you're on mute, Sherman. There we go.
There we go. Let's go over to Nathan. What are your thoughts on this? There was a question here that I actually just thought really quickly. It said, well, can the person change if they're in the 1-year agreement? And no, I don't think you can. I think if it's in the 1-year agreement, let's say they bought it through pay-as-you-go, the thing as a partner, what you'll do is you do the professional services, what we actually make the most money on right now. You do that until the term is up, and then you can bring them over to CSP and kind of how that works. I just wanted to just touch on that because we did talk about this. So Nathan, you talked about customer currency, right? I think we were talking about that. Customer currency. But that kind of coincides. How does it reflect on the conversation you're having?
Yeah, we use a term called customer relationship equity. We have small businesses and they're very busy, and they've got a lot of needs. They're trying to solve business problems. They're trying to grow. They're trying to maximize the use of the revenue they have. And so when we talk with them, we've got to spend that revenue, that equity carefully. Hey, I got 5 minutes with you this quarter, or I got an hour with you this quarter, and we're going to talk about important things. And I think that's one of the big impacts of NCE is. We have a lot of security efforts we're pushing towards, compliance frameworks we're trying to get our customers into, and migrations to Teams systems. That continues to be a big push, and we'll be redirecting a lot of those efforts into contract conversations around NCE this quarter, and it will delay some of those security pushes and Teams migrations, and that's a challenge. There's only so much time and so much effort that our team has and the customer has to have these conversations, and I think that'll have a long tail because. Each contract each license the customer has a different term. So if they add some licenses partway through a 12-month term, that those new licenses on a different SKU have a different term, and so these conversations will have to become a regular part of our interactions with our customers to kind of talk about which of their licenses are coming up on a new expiration and what they plan to do. So it's going to be a long-term. From our perspective, I feel like a little bit of a distraction from a lot of what we're trying to accomplish. We're going to have to spend a lot more time on contract discussions that we've moved away from in the MSP industry. We've moved to everything's as a service. We even sell our firewalls as a service. They don't have to pay for anything up front. It's a monthly fee for firewalls and security software. And now we're moving back to the more traditional, CapEx, and we're having to figure out how they can finance it or how we're going to have that long-term commitment conversation. So it's a big change.
Well, the other thing too is how cyclical cloud is, right? Or not cloud, just our industry. We're now everything is software as a service. So what happens in like 3 years when all of a sudden the new leader's like, no, we got to go back to prem, right? And then everyone's be like, okay, yeah, let's do that, right? I mean, we saw that. I mean, before in the past. Let me go ahead and get to the next question really here, and I'm going to go actually to Bruce, if you don't mind here. Bruce, so what are the first steps that you're taking to formulate an approach, like a strategy? Like what are you doing here in your thought with your team? Help share that as many of the partners on the call today can maybe use that, as a way to go about their this initiative.
Sure, I don't have my thoughts completely organized in this space, but I would say the following. We're kind of going in with the approach that, I guess we're hopeful and optimistic that 80% of our CSP business is going to be transferring over to the new platform. Unfortunately, from our perspective, we think because we're having conversations now and because of the time windows that we have, all of these transactions are going to be occurring, in Q1, we'll say. So we're going to shift something that was, oftentimes month to month or at least throughout the year, and we're going to move a lot of that to Q1. So that's kind of a negative. But at the same time, it's getting us out there. To the point earlier, it's a reason to have a conversation. We're standardizing in terms of our approach, in terms of standardizing on, I think most of our customers are going to go to the 1-year commit. Obviously, the 3-year commit's opportunity for them to avoid price increase that's coming in March. And I think we're using this as a great opportunity to have a discussion about security. Customers are buying security. So, we've last month we had an EA that was transitioning, as well as a MPSA agreement. They're buying security, right? Both of these agreements, I mean, from our perspective, we have now 5 customers where we've got to go out and deploy everything that says Defender before it. All the Azure AD, all of our proof of concept approaches for some of these security technologies, they're interested in them because this is not software they're buying to go stick on a shelf, right? They're making an investment in security and they want to unfold some of the benefits that they've kind of known and may have been even a little behind on. So essentially standardization, having the conversation, and I think primarily our customers seem to be rolling with the punches in terms of timelines, I think, because we've been having this conversation for the last month or two.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. I think that's some really good thoughts. Wade, what are you doing? Like, what are the first steps you're taking to formulate this strategy? Like, so we got to figure it out, right? We got to figure out what we can do.
And how to,
yep. Right. And my other thing too, just, I've always had the saying, the water finds the crack, right? The water, that's how I look at things. How do I find the solution? So Wade, what are your thoughts?
And I'm going to just jump back a little bit. Like if we think about new commerce experience, that also includes Azure Plan, right? That was a few years back. And like buying open licenses through CSP Perpetual. So as it relates to this NCE discussion in general, we've really attacked those, and we've been moved all of our Azure customers to Azure Plan, starting to sell a lot more software, perpetual software through CSP Perpetual. As we focus here, NCE basically for Microsoft 365, there's kind of 2 or 3 main steps we're taking. One is for our current clients, like Bruce was talking about, contacting them. We've got hundreds of clients, so we're figuring out the best ways to contact them. We've been contacting them. We're also going to be doing some marketing towards them. Some of our smaller clients can be hard to get a hold of because they've maybe had some turnover in people, and we might not have all of the current contact information, but just getting that out to them. So really a client first focused communications for them. Second is on the back end. how is our basically accounting and finance teams going to be managing these licenses? There's a lot of questions that everybody has on co-term and what happens if you sign up for something and you want to change it. And we all know the 72-hour cancellation period. So really working on training our team for that. And then next is the future prospects, adding new clients and making sure we're messaging to them the licenses and subscriptions and how they are going to be acting in the future. We've got our sales strategy now. When I'm competing against Google's or others out there, we know what we say, and now we're going to have to change our sales tactics because of the way the subscriptions have different terms and things like that. And then to Bruce's point, we're pretty much leaning towards the 1-year commit monthly payment as probably the best option to start with our clients. So, but at the same time, we have one client that they're kind of like retail or others where they ramp up and down. They respond to natural disasters. And so when there's a natural disaster, they're one of the first ones there to help everybody else set up technology. So they go to a completely different licensing model, much busier in the summertime when hurricanes hit. So we think we're going to have different models for them where maybe their core people have a year or 3-year commit, and maybe the people that are ramping up and down are the month to month. So we're working through those strategies as well, just to make sure we really understand this. And then from a strategic standpoint, we in essence deploy this or implement this for our customers that's specific to each of their needs.
Thank you, Wade. I think that's some really good strategies, here. There's a lot of comments that are going on in the chat. I'm watching. I'm trying to answer some of these things. Some of them, and I'll make, somebody says, these softball questions, but really back to the theme of, look, we can get really upset about something or we can try to figure out the solution. Okay. And you guys know me for many, many years. I've been through Partner, Microsoft, and I've always given. I always give. I never take. I never ask. So I'm always trying to find that solution. So I get some of these things in here, but let's just try to figure it out. Let's kind of go to that piece and then go from there, right? So Nathan and Daniel, I know I kind of have you on the bookends, but maybe both of you guys can answer this question. What are the first steps that you're taking to formulate the approach? And then I'll give you the second question of what is the impact to your business. So that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, sure. So I'll kind of lead off on that a little bit. I might take a slight different approach. I think that there is one major challenge with some of what we're faced with as MSPs and CSP partners is many of us have PSA tools, whether that's ConnectWise, Autotask, or another tool like that. And working, some of us are tier 1, some of us are tier 2 partners in the mix. And so there's quite a bit of operational readiness that each company has to prepare for to not only track different license commitments, but also, we're essentially tripling or quadrupling the line items in our service catalogs to accommodate this, because I need a month-to-month SKU, I need a 1-year SKU, I need a 3-year SKU for each service. Plus, whether you do government or nonprofit, you'll need some additional SKUs there as well. So, how you work with your distributors, your distributor of choice is going to be an important discussion for many partners, and it definitely is going to create some operational overhead, right? So that's a big challenge that I'm not sure Microsoft is completely in tune with on that. Because a lot of times when Microsoft looks at the MSP market, they assume that we're enterprise-based companies, and we're not. We're mostly made up of small business customers, and we're small businesses ourselves in many cases. So getting ready for that from an operational standpoint is definitely going to be a challenge. And then I'll defer to Nathan on kind of the impact of the business and the financial pieces of it.
Yeah, I think there's a few steps we're trying to take. I mean, we're having discussions about agreements, trying to figure out if our agreements cover this in the right way and how we're going to, from a legal standpoint, cover some of this. I think one of the big challenges about next steps is that we're trying to address is just learning about it. NCE is a large change, and it's been at times challenging to get data on it. I mean, I don't think there's data on what the 3-year commitment involves or the benefits to the 3 years. Some of that's still not been released. So we're trying to attend every webinar that's held and have conversations with our indirect provider and really try to pull in the data, because it's hard to make decisions, and we're not talking to customers yet because I don't have a solid sense of what our actual plan is, because I think there's still moving parts. So I think that's the challenge, is getting the data out, understanding what we're gonna propose to our customers, and then build a communication plan with them. So I think a lot of our efforts have been focused on education and understanding, and also prepping our team for it and prepping our agreements and just making sure we're ahead of things here.
So can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so just I want to make sure that we acknowledge, absolutely, Microsoft is focused on partners who have an SMB practice. We have partners of all different types. We've got 90,000 partners in the US alone, right? So we've got big partners who have tons of resources dedicated to working with just Microsoft. We've got small partners who manage the relationship with Microsoft and Cisco and many other OEMs and vendors, right? And I come from the partner space, so I totally get it. And I would say that we've got a long way to go to make the process of understanding the changes that are coming out better. That is my day-to-day job, is to understand where you guys are still struggling, where there's information scattered all over the place. I'm new to Microsoft. I just joined at the beginning of January, and I'm feeling that new guy pain all the time, right? We got to get better at it. So fully acknowledge that. That being said, I would just encourage you all to attend whatever webinars you can get access to. Listen to the Q&A sessions and rinse and repeat. This stuff is complicated enough that, I've been focused on new commerce and nothing else for the last 10, 11 months. And every day it's peeling back another layer of the onion. So, when we're transforming CSP the way that we are now, it really requires some attention. And we're committed to making sure that it's an easier adoption process going forward. And, one of the big hurdles in the past is that Microsoft kind of shot ourselves in the foot and impacted partners in the wrong way in releasing changes that were going live 2 weeks later, a month later. We're stopping that. The purchasing guidance is a great example of something we released notification on a year in advance of even considering putting it into market. And it's a catch-22, right? We released it so far in advance that there's no detail behind it. And we're still waiting for that and anticipating some details coming out fairly soon on that. But it's that sweet spot of giving you all enough time, giving you all enough notification to go do the engineering changes that you need to do, to go do the sales and operations management training that you need to do to get everybody ready to go adopt this new stuff. So it's that sweet spot between giving you plenty of time and giving you enough detail, and we're doing our best to make sure that we're giving you all adequate time to go adopt this stuff. So fully acknowledge that at times in the past there just hasn't been enough, and we're doing everything we can to make that experience better and give you adequate runway to go do the systems changes. Because a change like this with new commerce, the offer structures require going back to any systems that you guys have in house to manage these transactions and do some heavy engineering updates. If you're leveraging IPs in a system like Cloud Blue or some other transaction tool, it's a lot less burdensome. But certainly, for partners that have proprietary tooling, there's a lot of engineering, and we don't help the process when we change dates, right? So that's another piece of feedback I keep sending back to Worldwide. All these date adjustments means that partners are going back to their engineering groups and saying, "Hey, guess what? I got to go change the date again." And I'm laughing, but it's not very funny, right? And it erodes relationships internally for our partners. So fully acknowledge that. We're doing our best to lock in on dates that are not changing, while also trying to be flexible to the requests that we're getting back from partners to make the whole landing process easier. So
awesome. So that makes some good points. But I want to get back. I'm going to get this over to Wade actually, We talked just at length, Monday about this, about the impact to the business financially and operationally. Some partners, that have been using the whole month to month thing, are like, oh my gosh, I'm frustrated, with this. But there's a lot of partners that have already been doing business on 1 year or 3 year agreements already. So Wade, what is the impact on your business financially, operationally? Are you having to make the change? Are you having to do something wild to do this, or is this part of kind of what you've already been doing? Just help us understand that.
For us, it is pretty impactful. Of our 300 plus Microsoft Cloud customers, I think 5 are maybe annual or 3 year. So and again, in their mind, they think it's month to month, even though the terms on licenses are 12 months. So it's definitely an impact, and I stated some of the high levels over it, but as Daniel was mentioning, and these back-end tools, we have back-end tools too, and 90% of our business is direct CSP, so we have to manage through that. And I feel for our operations team next year when this gets implemented, because it's going to be a lot of work on billing. We have a licensing team when somebody calls in for support, and so if company ABC calls in for support, wants to add a handful of licenses, today they know exactly what to do, they being our licensing team. Tomorrow, they're going to have to be much better trained on, hey, is this a net new subscription? Is this an upgrade to an existing one? How do you add it? What's the end date? Is it an add-on? If it's an add-on, how do you add it here? So I don't want to get into the weeds here in this discussion, but at a macro level, it's most definitely impactful, I think, on the operational side, the licensing side, and then, as I think we're all hitting on here, the customer satisfaction side, that's more on front end, the sales side of the business. We're managing through that, and then what to expect in the future. But there's no doubt the terms, the subscription terms are going to be something we are having way more discussions with our clients, or will be having, than we typically have had in the past. And we do have a number of larger clients that do like, we have been discussing, one in 3-year and one in particular. They're very happy that of course, I could always offer them a 3-year term in the past, but they're really liking the 3-year term deal coming up with NCE. And so it's interesting that this actual client of ours, very, very smart person, very smart team, they've read through as much NCE stuff probably as I have. And as we all know, that there's more information that needs to be released, but they're looking forward to signing the 3-year NCE contract as soon as possible next year. So it's interesting. I wasn't expecting some of that, and so that's the other thing I think that we're all trying to work through is, yes, there's the frustration, but at the end of the day, I still have to do this, and I've got to figure out how to make it work. And there are some other benefits to this, like multi-geo. M365 is big for some of our clients, and they've been waiting for it.
Oh, yeah.
And so when that comes out in March, I always think I know everything. I think I'm the smartest guy in the world. Not really. But then when I thought, multi-geo is not going to be that big for these smaller clients, they're like, nope, we've got people in this country, and they've got data residency issues that we haven't been able to deal with. So just some of those other benefits are good talking points that are beneficial for many more clients than I expected. So it is interesting that I do get surprised from time to time that some of these other things that are coming in here are actually appreciated by some of my clients. So again, I'm gonna have to deal with this, right? My team has to figure this out, and we have to be successful at it. So that's really our mantra.
Okay, cool. Thanks. And that's very interesting because, yeah, you're having that perspective. Now, 1 minute, if Eddie Bader's here or Melody, if you could allow Paul Solsky to talk and do this. IMCP is a big part of our discussion today, actually. I talked to the president of IMCP, Eddie Bader, and Paul Solsky, and they actually sent this out. So many of you are IMCP members who are here today. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you to IMCP. I want to give them a plug when we can get them in here. I wouldn't be at Microsoft or had been at Microsoft or in this industry if it wasn't for IMCP SoCal. Swear to God, I was in telecommunications before that. So I owe my whole career, this business, to IMCP. Unbelievable. But let me get over to Bruce here. Yeah, oh my God, right. Just the best program organization ever. It's really fantastic. Now on the point that Wade was saying, and we have a lot of people here on the chat window talking about, the margins. I'm not making any money. I'm not making any money. I'm not going to make this money. Why am I going to continue doing this? I'm going to go straight to Microsoft. I actually posed that on our internal call before this, and I said that to Bruce. I was like, hey, my opinion is, well, why would we do this? I don't make that much money on the license. And then Bruce came back and says, well, what do you mean by that? And Bruce, would you mind kind of just talking about that a little bit? Like, your revenue related to licensing is a lot different, but not a lot different, but it might be a moment. But I think that it kind of coincides with that. And also, how are you planning financially, or how this is impacting your business?
Yeah, well, okay, CSP is going through the roof for us, has for a couple of years, continues to. And as I mentioned, I think, Wade, I think you mentioned about customer sat, right? So far, customer sat, they're handling the changes okay, right? The year-long commitment has not been a challenge for them. In fact, a lot of these customers, maybe that's because they're coming off EAs or MPSA agreements, 2 out of 5 of them. But the others, we're okay with it. I guess from the commitment perspective, it does make them look at their counts. We have a company that's in the restaurant business, right? And they're they know what the bottom looks like, right? Because they saw it last year, right? And they are definitely they're more angered by this than many because they know that they need flexibility in their business, and so they're going to have to pay some premiums for the month-to-months. So it is impacting them, but they're at least one that understands it well. Nathan, to Nathan's point about the FTE dedicated to this, that's us, right? And all of us here on this call, we're dedicating an hour now to this discussion to hear maybe some of the emotional and some of the factual parts of it. But how many hours have we spent to date? Is it a long enough window for us to understand it? We got a 100-page operational guide, and we wish it was 200, right? Because there's a lot of unanswered questions. They got 100 FAQs, and I think we have 100 more that we just put into this, window that. All of that needs addressing, and we need to be the authorities on this stuff. So it's committing a lot of time. Sherman, back to the idea. I think we're optimistic, I guess, in this in terms of the our sales to date and where we see our customers going. We feel like they are going to be purchasing more software, and we already have out of the 5 customers we have. That is going to spawn 3-4 projects, maybe some managed services per. We're looking at 20 projects that we're teeing up. Probably our biggest problem is that a lot of these projects, a lot of the software is going to get sold in the next 4 months, and people are going to want to do it. And I'm not sure we're going to have the bandwidth and capacity to do it in the next 6 months in terms of some of the work that needs to get done. So it's an optimistic view. People always call me the optimist. There are definitely some nuances of this that we all need to sort through, but at the end of the day, the software is getting sold, people are committing for longer periods, and they want to get value out of it. So that's where we, as a partner, I think could take advantage of it.
So on top of that, one question, and I'm going to go around to everybody here. Are you, and this is something that's really important, are you going to now ask your customers to prepay the full year or the 3-year, or are you going to say, hey, I'm going to assume that and have you pay month to month? I'm just wondering. I mean, this is a good question I think people are asking.
Yeah, we have not asked our customers to prepay in a year. We are reliant on our credit checks and our backgrounds and our MSA agreement that we signed, that we actually put in motion maybe 6 or 8 months ago, and we're now definitely more diligent about making sure the latest MSA is signed and through each customer. But we're going to take it on a case-by-case basis for the customers. In that restaurant company, we're going to have them take on the risk, right? And they're going to go to month for their own business. It's not going to be us.
Okay, Wade, or I'm going to go to Nathan. Nathan, is that you, Wade, your last? Nathan, I just want to make sure. What are you guys going to do?
I don't know that we've fully decided. I think, we've traditionally had 1- and 3-year agreements with our customers, but in small business, the challenge is if we ever have to enforce any agreements, the only people who make money on that are the lawyers. By the time you're done paying lawyers, you're not getting the rest of the agreement back. It's just a lost charge, lost revenue. So generally our 1- and 3-year agreements are gentlemen's agreements. So we're, if somebody wants to leave early, as long as they're giving us reasonable notice, we're going to let them go. Because if they're not happy with us, that's not great. We're not going to keep them happy. We're not adding value. And they might be back. We've had customers come back. They're like, yeah, you let us out, but the new guy wasn't great. We want to come back. So the 12 and 36-month agreements are gentlemen agreements. And, this complicates that because now there is a financial piece behind that. So my guess is that of all the small businesses I can think of on our smaller side, none of them are going to be willing to pay up front. That's not how their finances work. That's not how they budget. That's not something they can support. I could see us maybe doing some sort of like first and last month sort of equation or something if we have to, but it gets very complicated because these are not all the licenses per customer are co-termed. So am I getting paid up front for all your 365 licenses? All you guys decide to add some E3s on top of your business premium, that's 6 months in. So am I getting a separate 12-month payment from you or a first and last month of that SKU? It gets complicated to keep track of on that front. So I don't know that we have a simple plan for that. I think on the larger customers, co-managed NCE might be something they might bite on. Our 500C customers, they're more willing to pay up front, especially with the discount structure built in there. But usually we're going to give up margin to get that payment. That's almost always been true. You want a 3-year agreement from a larger customer, we're given a discount to get there on a lot of the bigger deals. So.
I love that. I love that. I mean, and that's where we're all going to be, right? We're all trying to figure this out, so it's going to be a little bit different. But some of the larger customers will take that and they'll run with that. Let's see, Wade, what are your thoughts on this?
Very similar, and it does really matter depending on the size of the client, like Nathan's mentioning. So our smaller ones have one flavor. We do a lot of work with Native American tribes, tribal casinos. Those tend to be larger organizations that either were on EAs or are looking to get off their EA when it's over. They're much more familiar, and not only familiar with it, their whole purchasing process is aligned to annual or 3-year payments, not just for Microsoft services, but for other ones as well. So again, it does really depend on the client that we're talking with. And like Nathan mentioned, but like I said, we do have some that are 1 year. Of course, that impacts margins. But it does really, it's going to be some different discussions with different clients that are more, if they're SMB, SMC, or higher, they tend to have different purchasing styles in and of themselves. So because of that, we'll have to cater those conversations to those categories of customers.
Awesome. Thanks for that. And that's, all these questions that we had, all these things we were talking about, that's why I had Harold and Neil from IT Exec come on to talk about this planning tool. You probably think in the very beginning of this meeting, like, what the heck was he doing? Why is this a sales call? But really, we have a lot of planning to do. We have different things, so that might be an option to utilize it. So I wanted to reference that, not because I want you to be interested in it, but the reason why we did that in the very beginning, because a lot of this is that. Now, we'll do a deeper dive, a 1 hour that's just on that survey tool, and I'm going to put the link in here. So if you want to sign up to it's all Surveil and just kind of going through everything and answering your questions, we can do that. But I just want to kind of touch on that. Now, we're above time. We're past time here, but I think there's a couple more things that we can talk about. If everyone's okay, please just stick around. We just got a little bit more. I think there's some important things. And actually, Dan, what do you think about this next question, which was, how are you planning to track termination dates for multiple agreements per customer? Because that is like, well, wait a minute, right? How are we doing it? What are your thoughts on that initially?
Well, so we go through a distributor to acquire our licenses. And so we're going to be leaning heavily on that distribution relationship to help us navigate that. We synchronize our PSA tools with our distributors to get accurate license counts. But now we're going to have to be creating a mechanism to track these initiation and termination dates, especially as it relates to co-terming and what licenses aren't available to co-term and whatnot, and existing licenses versus new licenses. Honestly, it's not to be negative, it's just a mess, and it's going to be very challenging, especially for smaller partners, to navigate that. I do want to touch on one thing really quick, Sherman, and I want to make sure Alex hears that feedback. Is I think we're seeing some trending in the chat here with a lot of partners here saying, "That's it, I'm out. I'm just going to let my customer purchase direct." And one of the concerns I have is overall for the industry too. And I don't mean to derail the conversation, but if this could mean a lot of partners leaving the Microsoft Partner Program, and that's a concern. The program's been built up, and this level of complexity in asking small partners, going back to your question, Sherman, how do you create an operational system to track all these changes? It creates a monumental challenge for MSPs and CSPs they're 5-person, 10-person, 15-person MSP. It's going to be really hard for us to do this if our distribution partners can't help us provide us with a solution. So I have fears that we're going to see a shrinking partner footprint in the partner program too, which I don't think is a good thing for Microsoft. We want more partners in the program. We want them to be transacting more co-sell agreements and claiming more co-op as they develop more business. That's part of my concern here. So, but it comes back to that complexity.
Alex, what are your thoughts on that? I know that's one that we've kind of
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up with the chat, and I got other folks internally pinging me as well. Daniel, would you hit me with that one more time? I am listening. I apologize.
Well, I think Sherman asked me the question around the complexity of tracking these agreements, and what I think is I believe that a lot of this complexity and these changes will drive a lot of partners to leave the partner program and just ask their customers to purchase directly. I don't think it's beneficial for Microsoft. I don't think it's beneficial for the channel. And so I just want to make sure that you hear some of that feedback, because we genuinely want a robust industry, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So a couple things. One, leverage your IPs wherever you can, right? We worked real closely with them to make sure that they're able to scale out and simplify this whole, adoption process with not just with new commerce, but anything that we're rolling out to the partner community. So lean heavily on them if you don't have a direct relationship. And then also know that, the new commerce experience is not only CSP. I don't think we've landed that enough. I haven't certainly landed that enough in this conversation. We're starting with CSP on new commerce, but it is coming to enterprise. We've got next on our roadmap to pull those seat-based offers and new commerce into the enterprise space. It's coming for self-service and web direct. I've got some timelines that I've heard for that internally. It's not too far off in the distant future. So, the whatever loopholes that customers might be able to find going over to web direct or something else, we will shut those down. The new commerce experience will be across the different stacks, across the different purchasing motions. And the intent there is to create simplicity, right, for our customers. At the end of the day, this is all about the customers. They are the North Star. Right now, when they purchase from a partner versus when they purchase in EA versus when they purchase on Web Direct, it's confusing. It's too much. So the intent here is to make it simple for the customers, whether they're buying through a partner, they're buying from Microsoft Direct, or they're buying an EA. The offer structures are the same. The transaction process is the same. So again, we're driving parity across those different sales motions. Yes, we're starting with CSP, and that's where we've started the process, but we're going to be moving it across the rest of the purchasing motions over time. Does that help, Daniel? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that does. Thank you. I do appreciate you responding to that feedback. So.
Yep.
Let's go over to Bruce. What are your thoughts on tracking and termination dates? And is this just something that we're just going to have to kind of keep a high end, a high priority of how to do that and kind of like just be malleable?
Don't have that one figured out.
With the situation.
Yeah, you're seeing different dates outside of the subscriptions, multiple subscriptions per customer. It's going to be interesting and challenging. And I think to the point I was trying to make earlier, and this kind of where it comes down to roost, right? We get them signed up on their 1 year or 3 year, and 80% of our customers, as I'm estimating, are going to be in the January, February, March timeframe. Great. That's a great way to begin the year, right? On tracking all those subscriptions, and then there's going to be a smattering throughout, right? So a majority of them are going to be then, but then there's going to be other license adds and other terms outside of that. So to the points earlier, we're going to be heavily reliant on our DISD to help us out. Looking forward to that reporting. Haven't seen it. It's kind of like you're on a ledge and you're about to take a step off, and we're taking that step off with faith that there will be something to catch us from a reporting and alerting and subscription perspective.
So just before we get here to the next question, we are giving away marketing dollars. We're going to be doing a demand gen webinar for one person, one partner, and that partner is going to be able to take advantage of we do all the demand gen for you. We're going to fill up your seats. We're going to give you 36 registrations, 15 people, and we're going to use the Microsoft Customer Immersion Experience, the Azure one, the 365, or Power Platform. And we typically get about 4 opportunities. 4 discovery opportunities for each session. So we actually have been looking at the people here, and actually the winner today is Daniel Marriott. Daniel, if you're still on, give me a thumbs up or give me a yes, or I'm going to go to the next person. And I'm sorry, I just want to make sure, Daniel Marriott, if you're on. If you're not, I'll contact you later. Maybe we'll give him a second here. All right, I know that we're still over, but last question here. And actually, Alice, would you be so kind? What information sources are people using to learn about NCE? Would you mind just maybe providing the most latest link to everybody to get whatever the latest?
Yeah. So everything's out on Microsoft Partner Network, MPN. So I would focus your efforts on enablement around MPN. There's also some posts out on the Microsoft partner communities. I will tell you that we have a gap, that there is no centralized new commerce experience page on MPN. I am working on that ASAP. I've got copy already in place. The page should go live hopefully within a couple of weeks. The ship moves slowly, but we'll get it posted right away. And it's terrible. I see your face, Sherman. It bothers me. You go out to the CSP page today on NPN, and there's no mention of the new commerce experience. Big fault. So we'll get that resolved. But each one of the changes. So if you look for detail on purchasing guidance, you'll find a blog. If you're looking for detail on the new commerce experience for seat-based, there is an entire collection out on NPN. I've got a slide that has a lot of great resource links, and what I can do is send that over to you, Sherman and Melanie, so you guys can get that out to the partners here on this call. But we want to make it easier for you all to find the information you need. Again, I'm new here, coming in from the outside. It's kind of like, man, we've got the fire hose, and the fire hose is pointing in too many different directions. So we want to centralize all that stuff through Partner Center and through MPN. And we're actively working on that. So I'll send the links to all the resources, and look for that MPN page to go live within the next couple of weeks. That'll focus just on the new commerce experience.
That's awesome. So, actually, I just want to thank everybody here. Look, we've gone over. I really love this conversation. I hope that you're able to maybe kind of take a look at some different perspectives from some of the leading partners in the country here. There are issues. There's no doubt about that. This is, every partner seems to be affected in a different way. We get that, but I think hopefully we can take from this particular session maybe some ideas, from some of the partners that are out there. But also, I think no, they're very much partners here, Sonny. I'm sorry, but they can help you out. Now, my name is Sherman Crancer. If you want to contact me, I'm happy. I'm going to send I'm going to put my email in here. If you want to contact me about anything, help or whatever, just go ahead and send it. I'm always easygoing. I always give first, never ask. That's the best way of doing business. You never ask, you always give first. Happy to help anybody who needs this thing. We're not doing a session tomorrow or next month. We're actually going to take a break. We've done 11 of these, and we've done over 300 customer immersion experience events and over 200 AIWs in 1 year. So we're tired. And if you don't mind, but in January, we're coming out with a bang. It's going to be 10 steps to increase sales by 40%. We know exactly what to do. We're going to give you the guidance on how to do that. So look out for our invitation. Really appreciate that for you. So we'll put that in there. We did give you some links to register for the Surveil. We're going to do a 1-hour deep dive on Surveil for those partners who really want to learn a little bit more about it. And it's a heck of a tool, especially just coincides with NCE. So for Alex, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on, man.
Hey, one final closing comment for me is we do hear you, and we do hear the frustration. And believe me, I hear it on a daily basis. My whole world is new commerce. So I just want to acknowledge this change is always hard, and I said this the other day to some folks who I know, I see in the chat names I recognize, right? But change is hard. Have you guys manage your legacy environments, adopt these changes in new commerce, try to rationalize them, go update systems, start selling the new commerce environment while you're still trying to figure it out. There's no other way to do it. This is too big of a ship to just go flip a switch from one day to the next, right? So we've got to do this incrementally, slowly over time, and appreciate the patience. And we do hear you. We hear the feedback. Things like the renewal period getting pushed out to July show that we are listening. We see the same questions over and over and over again, and at some point we have to kind of move on. And I think what you were saying earlier, Sherman, is absolutely paramount for partners to be focused on right now. Understand these changes the way that they are today. Understand the policies the way that they are today, and start to figure out how you're going to build a business model around this come January when this stuff goes GA. The partners who are up to speed and ready to go come January are going to be in a really great position to take advantage of those promos that are going live in January for seat-based. So again, we hear you. We know it's tough. There's a lot to absorb. And we'll keep listening to the feedback and trying to make this process easier for all of our partners.
Nathan, closing, and then we'll go to Bruce and then go to Daniel. And thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having us be part of this. It was great to have the discussion. Alex, I do appreciate you getting on. I think it's that Microsoft definitely threw you to the wolves. This is a passionate thing for us, and I think I want to communicate that we love Microsoft. This is what we do. We sell Microsoft. I don't sell Google. We don't sell other products. We've drank the Kool-Aid, for lack of a better phrase. We've bought the business premium thing. We sold CSP. We love CSP, and I think price increases are reasonable. I've been using this since BPOS days. You haven't changed the price of some of those solutions in 12 years. Prices go up. That's reasonable. I think there's some challenges we're struggling to deal with, and we appreciate you listening. I think some movements on dates is going to be a critical thing, just to give us space to even process it. So that move to June. As you guys communicate better, that's a win as well. Like you said, there's no central place to understand this. So those are big wins for us. But thanks for listening. And I hope we can drive some better understanding there. As we've seen Microsoft listen more and more in recent years on some products, like Business Premium was Microsoft really listening to us and developing a better product, at our requests. And hopefully there's some of that here where we can help drive some things that'll be a better experience for our customers as well. So thank you.
Awesome. Bruce?
Yeah, just, thanks everyone for being here. I guess tactically, I'd just say, it does seem that there are a lot of very common grievances with regards to this, timelines kind of being one of them. And I think to the degree that we can get ourselves some more time, get some more resources, get some more things centralized, those are probably those three buckets might encapsulate, each of the grievances people have, and just kind of go after these top 10 grievances and the things we're hearing, and just help us all land this. I think we all have interest in landing it. We have interest in continuing to be consultants with our customers, we've shielded things to date, but I think someone said brace for impact. I think we need to do more than that, right? We all need to get educated, and to that degree, we need some time, some centralized resources, and some effort. So,
thank you, Daniel.
Well, I wanted to say thanks, Sherman, for putting this together, and thanks, Alex, for joining us. I know it's tough to have these conversations. The chat speaks for itself. I know that you'll take that feedback. I would encourage the partners on the call, learn as much as you can, provide positive feedback as best you can, learn, be active in the community, try to express what your business concerns are. I know that there's a lot of anger out there. We have our concerns too. And there's a number of things to be concerned about. But if we want to change the trajectory of this, we have to do it through a business arrangement. We have to provide our feedback to Microsoft. So get involved, get in as many of these communications with your distributors as you can, with fellow partners, with any of your peer groups. Spread the word. I mean, part of the reason why Nathan and I joined this session is we want to make sure the partners understand the facts. And so I really appreciate everybody joining us, and I really appreciate Sherman and Alex for putting this together. This is what we need in order to make the changes that we all want.
So with that being said, I always leave this or start the conversation with, dreamers are the people who talk about what they're going to do, and leaders are the ones who do what they talk about. So you need to ask yourself the question every day, are you a leader or a dreamer? Ask that, and then go on with your day. Lastly, this is for the partner, by the partner, and for America. I have to say that one, man. Awesome. Thanks, everyone, for your time. And come on, man. We've been hearing that one a lot lately, too. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time. We'll do a follow-up. We'll send you guys, the recording. And if you need any questions, help us, no problem. Thanks again, everyone. Appreciate your time. Great session. I'll talk to you later. Have a great afternoon. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody here. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sherman, for hosting. Bye.
Stop recording.